As the story progresses, we've got war games. This is the opportunity for the commanding officer, Major Powers, to exercise and flex his muscles. Again, he's never really been in combat, but he sets up these exercises where his group always win, and the group of guys commanded by Clint Eastwood always lose, and they know it, and they're just like a dog with no fight. And Clint Eastwood identifies this opportunity as a way, as a time, as a moment to teach his guys that they can win and they will win this exercise, and they do. And this enrages Major Powers, but it turns out that Gunny Highway was in his rights to do this. He was supported by Lieutenant Ring, played by Boyd Gaines, who's a terrific actor and such a generous actor. My memories of working with Boyd, who plays this incredibly conceived of character, Lieutenant Ring, that he brought to this film, was extraordinary. Boyd Gaines is a Tony-winning stage actor in New York. He's a superb, thespian, trained that way, and I don't think that he's ever really, I don't know if he's ever even cared to, make such an impact in theatrical films, but he's an amazing actor, and he lived in New York, and I brought him out to California where we made this movie, and he was just a pleasure to work with. Learned a lot. He had done copious amounts of homework. He had a notebook this thick filled with his notes about what his character would be like, where his education would be, an entire background. I learned a lot about how to be a professional actor from Boyd Gaines. And so as the movie proceeds, we start to see a group of guys being formed by the skillful hands, Gunny Highway, and they're getting better. He's made it clear to them that, this isn't all fun and games, that there's like real lives may be at stake, and he's got getting them truly prepared for military action. That's the guy that went AWOL. Oh, he did.
I love
Stitch Jones continues to entertain us in this movie by never one of his performances as a musician at a local club, and he's upset that he didn't win and creates a fight. And who does he gets incarcerated, and who does he run into? Is another guy that's still stumbling along here is Gunny Highway, who is still stumbling and fumbling, trying to re-energize his relationship with his ex-wife, and he ends up in jail.
Run me. You can starve me and you can beat me.
What are the chances?
You can kill me. Just don't bore me.
Looks like it. And which kind of pulls the story back onto the romance. I mean, it's a friend of mine, an actor named Benicio del Toro, has told me on more than one occasion, as we philosophically talk about the movie business and writing screenplays, he said every movie's a love story, with very, very few exceptions. And there's a reason for that. It might not most obviously be a love story, but there's got to be, that story has to be, nearly every time it has to be included within a script. And certainly Heartbreak Ridge does a beautiful job of kind of maneuvering back and forth between the story of a man turning boys into men, teaching them the responsibility of their actions, And also on this other parallel track is a great love story, and a love story of redemption. I think that, especially, a middle-aged couple, people could relate to, just as beautifully the scenes are played by Clint Eastwood and Marsha Mason. So it's very powerful. It's very touching. I don't think it gets talked about very much because Clint Eastwood is so, in this movie, Heartbreak Ridge is so beloved by the military and the Marines in particular. But it really is a very tender love story in this movie too.
Excuse me, ma'am. You don't happen to be up and moving when Gunny Highway leaves for the base, do you?
I pour his coffee and lay out his things.
Got him! And then this happened. I mean, look at everybody's face. You're chewing gum.
I gotta get a screenshot of that. I guess I was trying to be it was a great moment when we see Gunny's men figure out what color t-shirt he's going to be wearing that day, and it feels like a breakthrough. It just puts a smile on your face. Stitch Jones figures out that somebody does Gunny Highway's laundry, and he can from there anticipate the colored t-shirt that he'll be wearing. From there he tells the other guys, and it just feels so good. So you see that group coming together, and from there we get into some more of the real exercises that Marines would go through, including the scene where these recon Marines, remember, they're highly trained, and they're all know how to skydive, right? So there's a scene where we all go up and jump out the back of a helicopter, and there's the whole group, floating down, and they hit the ground, and there's Swede, he's taking his parachute off and folding that thing up. I did all that for sure. Did I jump out of a helicopter? No. None of us did. None of us are trained to do that. So that's where our real recon, who again, they acted and were paid to be our background extras, but that's when they went with the second unit, and that's the group that very often in filmmaking there's 2 units of filming going on at one time. We've got the second unit would be the group that where your actors aren't so much needed, so specialists or stuntmen are doing that stuff. So that's what we did.